Hey nerds, Gleemax here. I am so hyped for Kaldheim. I'm a huge metal fan, and the whole most metal magic set ever thing is right up my alley. We're going to look over my top 5 commanders from the set, looking at what they do and the decks that they lead. As always, this is my opinion. Tell me why I'm wrong down in the comments. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for future videos. Let's begin. An honorable mention goes out to Toski, Bearer of Secrets. Toski is a 1/1 legendary creature squirrel for 3 and a green. It cannot be countered, it has indestructible, it attacks each combat if able, and whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. It is a black bordered legendary squirrel. I mean, it does other things and is a genuine annoyance to deal with, but mostly, it is there to earn an honorable mention for Mark Rosewater. Dude just wants us to have fun and play with some squirrels. At number 5 we have Koll the Forgemaster. Koll is a 2/2 dwarf warrior for a red and a white. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, if it was enchanted or equipped, return it to its owner's hand. Creature tokens you control that are enchanted or equipped get +1/+1. Koll is so good, even with the hindrance of it being in Boros. In fact, being in red gives it access to kobolds. Kobolds of Carekeep, Crimson Kobolds, and Crookshank Kobolds are all 0 mana, 0/1 red creatures. Rockwrath is a 0/1 as well, but it has First Strike, Trample, and Menace, so any equipment that we do end up attaching to it makes him a powerful threat. Your main combo is Memnite or one of the kobolds with Koll out on the battlefield. You then play a kobold, sacrifice it to Skull Clamp to draw 2 cards, and return the kobold to your hand, letting us draw 2 cards for 1 mana per cycle in Boros. You can also do this with Shuko, which equips for 0 to a Memnite or a kobold and sacrifice it to, say, Goblin Bombardment for infinite damage with Koll out. Considering white can tutor for equipment with Steel Shaper's Gift and Sigarda's Aid, this adds much needed consistency to the deck. I'm really excited for Koll the Forgemaster because I want it to be a combo list, and I'm very interested to see what kind of crazy combos people come up with. Koll is my number 5. At number 4 we have Serolph, Realm Eater. Serolph is a 3/3 legendary creature wolf for 1 black green. Whenever a permanent an opponent controls is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Serolph Realm Eater. Also at the beginning of your upkeep, if Serolph has at least 1 +1/+1 counter on it, you may remove all of them. If you do, exile each other non-land permanent with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of counters removed this way. This is Fenrir, and he can eat the entire world. Yes. This is a Gaze of Granite that triggers on your upkeep, leading into a politically heavy mid-range style of deck. The main issue is that you must remove all of the +1/+1 counters, meaning that after Serolph's board wipe on upkeep, he's back to being a 3/3. But because Serolph specifically kills non-land permanents, we get to run a Shaya, Soul of the Wild. This turns all of our creatures into force as well, allowing us to utilize our commander's board wipe and win the game. Do note that you aren't required to remove the +1/+1 counters from Sarulf, so you can run things like Corpsejack Menace for its counter doubling ability. Winding Constrictor also works very well here. Honestly, Sarulf is a green-black rock style commander deck meant to grind out value. Sarulf doesn't need to synergize with the rest of your deck because he is a must-answer threat as soon as he enters the battlefield. When you face a Sarulf deck, you'll never know what strategy it is and makes it very fun and personal. I'm very excited to play against this. Sarulf, Realm Eater, is my number 4. At number 3, we have Yorn, God of Winter, and Kaldring, the Rimestaff. Yorn himself is a 3/3 legendary snow creature god for 2 and a green. Whenever Yorn attacks, untap each snow permanent you control. On his other side, we have Kaldring, the Rimestaff. This is a legendary snow artifact with the ability to tap, and you may play target snow permanent from your graveyard this turn. If you do, it will enter the battlefield tapped. Alright, a true snow-focused commander. This is one of the few MDFCs. Pause. That is the dumbest name for these things. Modal Double Face cards, or MDFCs for short. Just call them flip cards already. No one cares about the Kamigawa spinny nonsense ones. Sorry, tangent. Yorn is basically a wilderness reclamation in the command zone. You just run all the snowlands. He has to attack and does untap himself, so he has a pseudo-vigilance effect. The staff, Kaldring, looks amazing and is a crucible of worlds for snowlands at worst. The ramp isn't the only amazing bit. The color combination makes this very frosty deck very strong. We get Dead of Winter, which is comparable to Toxic Deluge in this deck. Marriott Lodge's Slumber gives us an indestructible 2020 token with flying for only 1 and a blue. We just have to untap with it and 10 snow permanents. Speaking of Marriott Lodge, we also get to run Dark Depths and recur that multiple times. Be sure to include Vampire Hexmage. Then we get things like Glacial Revelation, which can draw us up to 6 permanents at sorcery speed. You run the standard Satyr Wayfinder effects as well, and you fill up the graveyard and recur it slowly with Kaldring, and then untap and beat down your opponent with Yorn, untapping everything. Yorn is exciting as a new Sultai Snow Commander deck. He's my number 3. At number 2, we have another one of Kaldheim's gods, Tegrid, Goddess of Dread, and Tigrit's Lantern. Tigrit is a 4/5 legendary creature god for 3 black with menace. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent or discards a permanent card, you can put that card from the graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Tigrit's Lantern is a legendary artifact with tap. Target player loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card. So, Torment of Hailfire for 1. You may also pay 3 and a black to untap Tigrit's Lantern. So much hype because this is a mono black control deck I've always wanted. This is the home for Smallpox. A sorcery for black, each player loses 1 life, discards a card, sacrifices a creature, then sacrifices a land. Having Tigrid on the board and resolving Smallpox will lead to many salty opponents. Of course, your Fleshbag Marauders and Demon's Disciples get in. You can even steal other people's fetch lands with this. Sadly, black doesn't get a lot of wields, but Dark Deal is there to give you every permanent in your opponent's hand. Sadistic Hypnotist is especially insane here. So long as you can hit 1 permanent per activation, this will strip half the permanents from everyone's hands. But the best thing, Smokestack. 4 mana artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a soot counter on Smokestack. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a permanent for each soot counter on Smokestack. You get whatever they sacrifice, even if it's not good for you to keep, you can just sacrifice it to keep Smokestack out longer. This is a fantastic stacks-based commander in mono black. I'm very excited to build this and play it probably just once ever. Tegrid, Goddess of Dread, and her Lantern earned the number 2 spot on the list. Lastly, supporting the most bearded tribe in the game, Magda, Brazen Outlaw, a 2/1 Dwarf Berserker for 1 and a red. Other dwarves you control get +1/+0. Okay, so some dwarf tribal synergies. Whenever a dwarf you control becomes tapped, create a treasure token. Okay, so 2 benefits for playing dwarves. This is a solid commander. Yep, I can definitely see playing this. Oh, sacrifice 5 treasures. Search your library for an artifact or dragon card. Put that card onto the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. Okay, so we have 3 things to keep in mind. We have to play dwarves, a lot of dwarves, 7 dwarves in fact. Whenever they become tapped from effects like Dwarven Blood Boiler, Springleaf Drum, or crewing a Gilded Assault Cart, or even attacking, you make a treasure. The Assault Cart can even regrow itself if you sacrifice the treasures that Magda brings you, and is perfect in the deck. So once we get enough treasure, we can search for a dragon or an artifact and put it onto the battlefield. My mind jumps to Hellkite Tyrant. We would need 25 total treasure for this, but if we use Magda's instant speed ability at the end of our opponent's turn, we can bring out Hellkite Tyrant and win out of nowhere. You don't rely on Magda to be your sole treasure token generator. Brass's Bounty makes 1 for each land you control, while Gadrak, the Crown Scourge, makes 1 at the end of each turn. Also, you can search for Gadrak with Magda's ability. With all the treasure you generate, you'll be able to make a big plays from seemingly nowhere, sacrificing them for mana, which is very good as well. This is a mono red deck with a fun, super unique playstyle, so how could she not take the number 1 spot? Magda, Brazen Outlaw. Alright nerds, that's it for my top 5 commanders from Kaldheim. Which commander are you most hyped for? Are you building any of these commanders? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks nerds.